Hi, welcome to Urban Insights. I'm Jayashree Kulu. I have with me Aditya Parolia. He's managing partner of PSP Legal and an advocate with the Supreme Court of India. So, Aditya, very quickly, would you like to state the case and what the first order has been? It's not a final order, right?
Yes. Hello, Shri. The what's the issue about is that the people, the home buyers or the allottees are challenging the validity of the subvention scheme or the way or the mannerism in which they were forced into a subvention scheme, and they are alleging that there is a builder and a bank and a builder nexus whereby through certain acts or overt acts they were forced into certain kind of loan arrangements which were already barred by the RBI's innovative loans, and they were not precisely linked to construction. And apart from these main loan tripartite agreement which we enter into, there were some back end agreements which builder into entered into with the buyers and had undertaken certain obligations which was well known to the banks per se. Now, these obligations were not discharged by the builder in the manner in which it had to be. Now, as a result of which, today the situation lies that the loans are cannot be repaid because the homes are not made. There's a loan obligation. The CIBIL of the home buyers have gone for a toss, and the situation is so dire that either I pay back the loan for 20 year or 30-year period, which it is there for, and still there is no hope of getting the promised home. And that is where the situation has come to before the Honorable Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court recently suggested that they will appoint a CBI and form a SIT, a Special Investigation Team. The reason being that despite various orders being passed by the Honorable Supreme Court for the builder and the banks and also the IRP to file the reply and responses on the current status and the petition which is before the Honorable Supreme Court, they failed to do so. So this uh, what you lexical approach or this hide and seek which the builders banks are playing with the on epic court of the country definitely shows that there's something wrong and there's something which needs to come out. And the numerous buyers who have approached before the Supreme Court already showed a very bad picture. So as a result of which now the Supreme Court has summoned the standing counsel for the CBI and is contemplating of forming a special investigation team to look into this nexus.
How long will this process take normally?
See, it depends on the investigating authority, the SIT, as to how much it takes. But do not think it should go beyond this year, because you will understand that there are numerous banks, financial institutions, non-banking FCs, and numerous builders who are involved. Most of them have gone into insolvency, and the records, as you know, are not very crystal clear in such situations. So it will take some time. There are numerous people who are to be investigated, numerous home buyers who are to be whose statements will be recorded or whose documents will be recorded to look into the situation.
And how many home buyers approach the Supreme Court?
See, we are they are ideally we are representing around 4 to 5 thousand home buyers, but there are 6 to 7 thousand home buyers should be there. I'm not very sure with the definite numbers because they have gone in batches and different petitions, because it's not a single petition; it's a batch of 80 to 90 petitions. We presented around 40 to 50 petitions. Half of them are being represented by us. Earlier, this matter was before the Honorable High Court, and our Honorable High Court had initially given an interim relief, but towards the final conclusion, they suggested that since this issue can be litigated in different courts, we are not invoking a writ jurisdiction, because we have invoked the special jurisdiction, which is a writ jurisdiction of the Honorable High Court. This Delhi High Court would dismiss it, which was challenged. Already, there are certain petitions which are lying in Karnataka High Court, Maharashtra High Court, and different high courts of the country. As a result of which, we have gone to the Honorable Supreme Court, suggesting that because different high courts will might take a different position and the situation is same across the country, so why don't the Supreme Court looks into it. Last year Supreme Court agreed to look into it and was gracious enough to immediately issue an interim protection that no coercive action will be taken against any default done by these innocent home buyers for the loan taken by them under this scheme. because the issue was that despite banks knowing the real position, since builders had gone into insolvency, I think it was quite sad situation that banks were trying to get the money from these buyers by arm twisting them. They was initiating actions or legal actions in jurisdiction like Kolkata and Jaipur, whereas the loan was there disbursed in Noida or Gurgaon projects. So just to harass them and to increase the litigation cost. As a result of which today the courts have asked them to stop and not to take any further steps.
Now, what is the bank's position on this? Have the banks at least said anything to the court?
So that is what not many banks have come forward, and they are
Mhm.
not clarifying the position. RBI and has also been called in. I think on the
Mhm.
last hearing, Attorney General of the country was also present.
Mhm.
Now, the reason why banks are being silent, because what my or understanding or the court's understanding, which was also there, is that indeed there were certain bank officials who were hand in glove, and that nexus which the court spoke about uh, may be the reason for this, because ultimately the loan was disbursed by these banks, and the manner in which it was disbursed was not linked to construction. At the very moment go, 90 to 95% money was used to be disbursed to the builder, which was contrary position to the all the entire loan scheme. Hence today this situation has come in whereby the entire industry has collapsed, and banks are not answering, or they were not made to answer in such situation, and hence the court is asking that what should we do in this if not investigate.
At that point of time, what did the law state? I mean, RERA came subsequently, right? So, what did the law state at that point of time? Could the bank disburse more than according to construction linked plans?
Well, see, RERA primarily discusses the jurisdiction between builder and the allottee. It is not to do much with the bank who is a financer. This is the prerogative of the National Housing Board and the Reserve Bank of India, as to who time to time come out with a lot of rules and regulations on such kind of modalities. And since 2012 or 13, RBI have been repeatedly saying that any kind of loans in the housing scheme which are innovative in nature are not allowed, and they should be linked to the construction. So when I say innovative, it means that it gives a very broad definition as to something which is not linked to construction or stage of construction will, I think, fall in that category. And hence subvention, which is not a defined kind of a term or an instrument, also falls under that category. So the law which was there at that moment, Jayashri, was that such loans should not be allowed, and the bank has to do a lot of due diligence before disbursing any stage of payments. So it has, one, it has to be staggered into tranches, and second, they had to do their due diligence. Now our allegation or our stand before the bank or before the court is that no due diligence or was done by the banks, and also that the manner in which loans were disbursed, it was upfront 90 to 95% is violative of the RBI guidelines, which are mandatory and statutory in nature.
Now, the RBI and the NHB are both regulators, right, for the bankers in consumer home loans, in home loans.
Hmm.
How come the regulators never stepped in, even though they have issued these guidelines? Could the regulators not step in?
I think that is what the court wants to investigate, as to how come all entire situation went under the nose of the RBI and NHB without being detected. In before the Honorable High Court, the RBI was taking a soft stand against the banks. I think they are going to take a strict stand here, because indeed the laws have been violated, and this is something you cannot brush under the carpet any longer.
Right.
Also, I think after we approached the High Court and the situation came out, the government has also brought in a legislation. RBI has again reiterated its position on such loans, and now this issue remains that despite so many laws being there, and the money which has been disbursed by the bank, it's not their own money; it's the public money which they were holding the fiduciary capacity. What how equities will be balanced in such a situation? Because please understand, home buyers are not denying that they will not pay the loans. home buyers are saying that if I'm getting the house, I'm very happy to pay the loan. Plus the pre-EMI which was promised by the builder to be paid prior to the possession, that should be the liability of the builder solely, because banks are fully aware of it, and they should not charge the home buyers unduly for it, because
Right.
banks are fully aware of this situation. Now today you say that home is, you are not getting your house, but yet you have to pay the loan, will be a very tiresome, and I think it will be a death knell to these home buyers, because how much economical burden will they face? They are not getting the house, they are burdened with the loan of the entire money that they have paid. So in this situation, I think RBI will have to step in and take strong measures against such bank officials.
Now, is this a class action now, or only the ones who have approached the court will get the benefit of whatever the.
Anything which is passed by the Honorable Supreme Court falls under the as a law of the land under Article 142. But I think right now, what my suggestion will be that whosoever is aggrieved should approach the Honorable Supreme Court, because if there is a situation which needs to be looked into or a SIT is formed, they will require certain documents, and they need to ascertain as to how big the situation is, because
Mhm.
ultimately, Jeshri, you were there since, I don't know how long you have been reporting on this sector. Even when JP went into insolvency, 35,000 home buyers were there, hardly 3,000 people came in, and slowly they are still coming out. So
Mhm.
my suggestion to all the home buyers is that they should be there before the court to explain their position, so that SIT can take cognizance on the entire issue and act on it.
Uh, if a home buyer who has not yet put in his petition comes up, what is the how difficult is it for a home buyer? Already they are an aggrieved lot. They have waited for over 10, 12, 15 years, and the courts, the legal process is very intimidating. So,
Expensive. See, it's a civil process. They don't have to come to court. They can engage a lawyer very easily. It's not that you have to come on the dates, but ultimately, Jashri, see, courts do hold up the law. Government does act, but you will have to invoke your rights. So
mm,
the courts cannot go knocking on your doors and say that your rights violated or not. So my
mm,
suggestion, my take on this situation is that until unless people approach the court and tell the court that what wrong has happened, how will the court act?
yeah.
So I think there is nothing to be feared of. Now Supreme Court is taking cognizance. Just engage a lawyer, file a petition, and be there.
Okay, Aditya, tell me something. How many of these developers are under the CIRP?
So quite a few. We have not ascertained the numbers, because, but and I don't want to take names, but a good amount of them are under insolvency.
Mm,
And since they are under insolvency, IRP takes the management of the company, and most of the situations where the banks are coming in, they are creating a lien on the on the house. So see, what the situation why we have invoked the special jurisdictions is that until unless there's a constitutional court or a writ court, lot of
mm,
directions cannot be given.
yeah,
Okay, IRP will act within the bounds of the law, and he has to give the house to the bank. Okay,
mm,
and he will not be able to complete the project. And they're not just one flat; there are numerous flats in such situations. Then, sorry. Then you were asking how many companies are in the IRP. So there are quite a few, and that is one of the major reasons why we have invoked, because IRP has
okay.
very limited powers.
So what happens if a company is in insolvency? There is already an existing lender. There is, and also remember that there is a Swami too that has come in as well, which means that there are risk funds available to complete these projects. So how does there are so many links in this entire threads in this entire chain. So how do you ensure that the best comes out of this?
That is precisely the reason, as I said, we have approached the red court, because our point was that we cannot keep on fighting in multiple courts and multiple jurisdiction. And at one point, I go to consumer court or RERA, or then I go to NCLT, then I go to civil court. How many
Mm,
courts will I fight in? And then bank brings in action against me in DRT or under Payments of Securities Act. So that cannot happen. I think the answer will have to be given by the government, either by the government or the apex court of the country, as to how the situation will resolve. And precisely to get that answer, what you are asking is indeed our question before the court. That what should we do in this situation?
Okay. And the customers that you are representing, what has been their reaction to this order?
So they're quite happy, they're quite hopeful. Of course, when you fight for so long, you get slightly pessimistic and you don't see that ray of light. In fact, it is shining upon you in many cases. But yes, majority are very happy. Some people don't know what will happen, but they're hopeful that the judicial system of this country will deliver despite the other limbs failing for them. I think now they are just keeping the fingers crossed.
A few takeaways, Aditya. One, you're advising everybody whose projects have not been completed and banks are after them for the interest payments, EMI payments. You're telling all of them, please approach the court and file your petition as well, right? Approach a lawyer, file your petition. The second thing is that the court has asked the solicitor, the solicitors appearing in the
I
court.
No, Attorney General is appearing, but the court has asked standing counsel for the CBI to appear now.
Okay. And it is likely that the CBI will be looking into the case to figure out where the money has actually gone, right? The money was given and the developer has gone into insolvency. And on the part of the banks have to make their case on why they gave this money and why it was violative of the regulatory norms, right? These are the three major issues that are happening.
That is the major three takeaways. My major point to the home buyers, was your first point was, and I need to emphasize on this. See, if your rights are being violated, the courts and the governments and the constitution of the country has put in a system. So until unless you put that system in use for yourself, your rights will always be violated. There's no helping you. That's all.
Yeah, this is a case that we will be on. I do intend to continue pursuing it because it's the extent of damage to the number of people, a very large number of people, is very high, and therefore we will hope to see you back here as the case unfolds and make sure that the consumers get it. And on our part, we exhort the consumers, fight for your rights. There are people fighting for your rights. Just join the process. Thank you so much, Aditya. Pleasure meeting. Found this video useful? Please subscribe to this channel for more such videos. Do like and share with as many people as you can.